Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Comic Haul. I am Dylan Lang, your host. This is week 24-25. It's actually a double haul week this week because I ran out of time last week to do my haul. And so I'm doing 2 weeks worth, which is insane because of the amount of stuff I got. I know I'm always talking about finances and stuff like that, and I really need to stop. But comics are comics, and it's hard to stop. So I got 2 weeks worth of stuff coming right now, and I know I usually start at 9 o'clock, but I want to get this done quicker because I got a lot to cover, and I'm tired too. So, not enough chit chat. For those who don't know, I'm Dylan Lang. I do the Comic Haul, so semi-weekly show. I try to do it every week, but sometimes like this, 2 weeks, I've done it in 3 weeks before, every 3 weeks, whatever. So whenever I have time and I have the money to buy the comics, I do them. I also host another show called Dylan Knows. It's on Sundays, 12:30 p.m. I do not have an episode tomorrow because of scheduling conflicts. We did our show last night, me and my co-host Gigi Fletcher for Dylan Knows List, so you can find that on my YouTube page. I'll probably send it out again tomorrow around the same time that my show usually comes on. And then I also have a fictional web show called The Assistant, which comes out every Monday. I still haven't filmed the episode or episodes for this week to drop on Monday, so hopefully I'll be able to do that and get that done tomorrow and get that dropped on Monday. So it might be 1 or 2 episodes I haven't decided yet, depending on what I want to do. And it will be a slight hiatus after that on the Assistant while I get some more episodes in the can. But for now, we're here to talk comics. 2 weeks worth of comics, a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of new stuff going over. So we're going to start at the top with books that came out last week. So these books that I'm about to talk about now are books that came out last week, and then I will talk about books that come out this week as well. So your comic store might have the books that I'm about to talk to you about from last week out on their shelves still. So here's the comic haul for week 24. As I said, a lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff too, because October is a new beginning time because it follows DC's New 52 month of September, where they always do something special and one-shots galore and stuff like that. So now October, we start with new creative teams, new story arcs, new crossovers, and we've got all that stuff coming up. And we also have, it's the month of October now, and DC's continuing their double variant cover, well, their regular cover and their variant cover. The theme this month, of course, being Halloween, will be monsters, and I've been talking about these for a while. There's a lot that I'm going to be getting, so you're going to be seeing a lot of the monster ones because I like them. There's some really good ones out there. So let's get this moving along. First up, talking about new crossovers, stuff like that. Green Lantern, who's always no stranger to doing crossovers. The whole Green Lantern team, Green Lantern Corps, Green Lantern New Guardians, Sinestro, Red Lanterns. I think, am I missing one in there? I don't know if I'm missing one there. They're all going to be doing crossovers together and having one big crossover. And of course, they're going to do a one-shot first issue. Called Godhead is the story. This is the one shot that starts it all off. With these 7 rings, I will at last bring Darkseid to his knees. And there's Hal Jordan all scared like that. It's bringing the new gods into conflict with the Green Lantern Corps and going to be Darkseid and all kinds of crazy stuff. So Godhead number 1, one shot, Act 1, Part 1, is a team effort written by everybody who writes for the Green Lantern family of books. Let's see if I can find the names of all the artists. I just have their last names, but I want to see if I can find. Looks like Larfleeze is in it too. Let's see if I can find them so I can have all their names on here. Doesn't look like it's. Oh yeah, it is. It's just the fold-out page, which I'm going to show you is pretty impressive when they can do one of these. Let's see if I can get it all in there for you. It's going to be rough, but here we go. Van Jensen, Justin Jordan, Robert Venditti, Charles Soule, and Cullen Bunn wrote the story. Van Jensen and Justin Jordan wrote the script. The artists for this issue were Ethan Van Sciver, Martin Kokolo, Goran Suzuko, Chris Cross, and Pete Woods. So Ethan Van Sciver is not unfamiliar with doing Green Lantern crossovers, and he's got some pretty gorgeous artwork. I think this is Ethan's work right there near the beginning. And so you get a look at all the different styles of art for different stories, stuff like that. And you're going to get, as I said, appearances by everybody here. Sinestro is in it as well. And as I said, I saw Larfleeze in here, so he's in here too. And of course, so is Kyle and all the girls. So Godhead #1 is the beginning of the crossover that runs through all the Green Lantern books. But it wasn't the only one that came out last week. Act 1, Part 2, Green Lantern, #35. They're all going to be doing similar covers. What does that say? Only a small mind would tamper with the source of creation and not foresee a terrible reckoning. There's Metron there at the bottom. This is Robert Venditti, Billy Tan, who's the regular creative team on it. Inkers Rob Hunter, Bat, and Mark Irwin. So it's one of these big crossovers, duly bad. So Green Lantern's no stranger to these. So got some good stuff coming up with those as well. So those are the only two for Godhead that came out last week. And you'll see one came out for this week as well. Next up, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to stick with it because I've heard some bad reviews of this, but I figured I may as well do it. Green Arrow #35 has a new creative team. Jeff Lemire is no longer on board. He told his story, and that was that. Now what they've got is they've got two writers of the Arrow TV show, Andrew Kreisberg and Ben Sokolowski did the story. Daniel Siempre is the penciler, Jonathan Glapion is the artist. And of course, with it being so close to Arrow, they're going to start introducing more characters from Arrow into the story. And they still have some DC characters. Lex Luthor, Bruce Wayne is in there as well. So we'll see what happens, but I've heard some bad reviews about this, so I'll pick this up and I'll just read it and we'll see what happens. See, here's the appearance of Felicity from Arrow is now in the comics. So Green Arrow #35, if you are a fan of the Arrow TV show and haven't been reading the Green Arrow comic, this might be the best time to pick up on it. It's a brand new story arc, brand new artist, brand new creative team, so you probably won't be that lost if you pick that issue up. So Green 35. I picked this next book only for one reason. Well, two reasons. One reason, the main reason was because it's written by Cullen Bunn, and the other reason was because #1. I'm probably not going to stick with it, but I figured I'll keep up with it. It's Lobo #1, and it's featuring the emo Lobo, who I despise, not the rough and tumble Lobo, who I absolutely adore. And this isn't a spoiler. It's the second page of the book. The rough and tumble Lobo is gone. So this is going to be the main Lobo character. I mean, the artwork's pretty nice by Riley Brown and Nelson DeCastro, and I like Cullen Bunn as a writer. But I got to start dropping comics since it's way too much money, and I'm just not a fan of this character. But I'll still read it, and maybe it'll win me over, but I'm not betting on it. But once again, don't let me color what you do. You go pick up what you want. If you like the new Lobo, go for it. If you want to start on the ground floor with a book, #1, I mean, and you can't go wrong with Cullen Bunn. Just because I collect so much stuff, I'm just probably going to drop that one. But that shouldn't stop you if you're a brand new collector and you want some more rough and tumble, anti-hero, violent type of characteristics. So well, check it out. It's a space story. We'll see what happens with it. But Cullen Bunn really is a great writer. So I'm just probably going to skip it just because I'm not a fan of the character. It's just me. But as I said, go in, read, go get the comics. Here's #1 that I am excited about, and as another one that everybody out there should probably pick up because it's a unique comic in the DC universe. It's Gotham Academy #1. I've heard it described as a young adult novel in comic book form. It's written by a female by the name of Becky Cloonan, along with Brendan Fletcher. He co-writes it with her. Becky Cloonan is a good artist in her own right as well, but she is, co-writing this, and it's a big thing because DC has always had issues with getting female creators on their books. They've got a bunch coming up now, so it's starting to build a little bit, which is good. They're starting to get the idea that women are pretty good writers and artists as well. So, but as I said, it's rated T for teen, but it might be good for younger kids. I mean, it takes place in Gotham, but as of now, no Gotham characters have shown up in it. And basically, it's what it is. It's a young adult book, as they say. New characters. Carl Kerschel is the artist, so kind of a, not cartoony, but you're not your typical comic book artwork on it as well. But the main characters are females, so it's another strong female character-driven book. And we need more of those in the comic world. So I definitely would pick it up. Artwork is pretty nice looking, and it's something totally unique. If you think there are no such things as original ideas, Gotham Academy very well might change your mind. So pick that up as well. Once again, these are all came out last week. You should still be able to find issues of it on your shelf. Now we go to the part where we discuss our weekly books. There's not much more I can say. DC has 2 weekly books. They have a third one starting this week, and we'll get into that in the next part of the section of the haul. Of course, Batman Eternal number 26 was the first one, continuing the adventures of Batman and his family in a Gotham that is slowly deteriorating. Once again, it has multiple creative teams, multiple writers, different artists every week. Sometimes they do 2 issues at a time. In this case, we've got Scott Snyder and James Tynion doing the story, James Tynion doing the script, Ray Fawkes, Kyle Higgins, and Tim Seeley consulting writers. This issue is drawn by R.M. Guerra. Darker, muddier type of artwork. That's what you're into. Gotham is falling apart. And they're bringing all kinds of characters into it. Batman, Hush, Alfred, all these different characters, Commissioner Gordon, Batgirl, Red Hood, who's on the cover, Red Robin, they're all in this book. So it's up until this week when Scott Snyder and Capullo got back on the Batman again and brought it back to present time. Batman Eternal was the only main Batman storyline that is connected to what's going to be upcoming in Batman. Detective had its own little area of the DC world as well, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The other weekly, this is last week's, is Future's End, is once again multiple writers. Brian Azzarello, Jeff Lemire, Dan Jurgens, Keith Giffen, artist Patrick Zurcher, who is excellent artist. Takes place 5 years in the future. Batman Beyond is one of the main characters, and it focuses on a lot of the minor characters in DC Universe: Red Robin, Firestorm, Hawkman, Frankenstein, Amethyst, so on and so forth like that. So Captain Marvel, Shazam, stuff like that. So that's Future's End, number 22. Not much I can say about that because I've talked about it every week since it started. So obviously, I'm on weeks 24, 25. So Batman Eternal number 2 was the first one I did on my show, and I've been doing Future's End since it started on my show. So there's that. Now we're going to start getting into some of the monster variants I talked about earlier. Speaking of Batman, first one up we have is Grayson, number 3. This is a monster variant. It's sort of a Frankenstein style cover, and it has down here Monsters of the Month variant, so you can tell which ones are Monsters of the Month, whatever. This is written by Tim Seeley, Tom King and Tim Seeley, I should say, with art by Mikel Janin. Dick's scoring with, he's a spy. He's scoring with chicks. I'm not going to show you because it's not for kids, but Dick's doing a James Bond-esque type of thing, and doing this thing. Batman still a little bit appears occasionally in there, but Mikel Janin's a great artist, and Dick's always been an interesting character. So I'm still keeping up with it. We'll see. That might also soon get dropped, depending on finance and stuff. But that doesn't mean it's not a good series. The ones I dropped are just ones that I'm not be interested in. But as I said, I still have this issue, and I'm still reading them. So keep up with that. This is the coolest cover, I think, of this week. and I really like it. And I didn't know that this is the new creative team on Detective. I thought Francis Manapul and Brian Buccioletta were going to be on it for a long period of time, but apparently they're not. But this cover is not a Monsters of the Month one. It is the actual cover to Detective Comics number 35. And it's Batman there all the way in the back investigating an airplane full of decomposing bodies. It is freaking awesome. It is a great cover. I love it. It's fantastic. And the artwork on the exterior is done by the artist on the interior. So if you like that style of muddy, dark style type of artwork, you're going to love this. I love John Paul Leon. He's pretty good. Benjamin Piercy, who I've never actually heard of before, is the writer. And as I said, John Paul Leon, who I have seen in other things as well, is the artist. And there's his, Bruce Wayne, pretty classic Bruce and Alfred. And just phenomenal artwork, just so gorgeous. And just the cover just sells it for me. It is absolutely creepy. And he did a good Bruce. Here's his Batman. Very, very nice. And I'm very excited for this. And it sort of renewed my interest because Francis Manapul and Brian Buccioletta were okay. But I'm really excited because I like John Paul Leon's artwork. And I've never heard of Benjamin Piercy. So hopefully, it'll be interesting as well. So very cool. Pick up Detective Comics 35. That cover alone sells it for me. Another monster variant this week is Action Comics by the classic Neil Adams. One of the old classic artists from the old days. It's kind of a vampire-y, zombie-esque Superman. This is a aftermath of what do you call it? Doomed. And the issue is called it's called After Doomed, but I thought it was something else. Greg Pak's the writer, Scott Collins and Vincent Cifuentes are the artists. So you get a little bit of both. This is Scott Collins' artwork because he's got a very distinct style. And see if I can find Francis Cifuentes, and you can tell sort of the difference. Here's Francis Cifuentes' artwork. It's a little bit different as well. So Greg Pak is doing an excellent job on Action, sort of bringing Superman back to where he is. And it's going to be working on the aftermath of Doomed. So I'll pick it up. It's another, once again, as I said, another good. It's a one-off, I think. It was just sort of a follow-up epilogue to Doom. So it'll be starting a new story arc probably next month. Justice League's about a month behind. So here's issue 34 of the Justice League. Came out last week. Jeff Johns, Scott Collins again, artwork on this one. So very distinct. And it's got the first appearance of Lex Luthor and Captain Cold as members of the Justice League helping out. So you've got your, it's once again, it's sort of a wrap-up issue, wrapping up the story arc that was set up by the crossover Forever Evil that they did before. So it's Justice League 34. That's it for DC this month, for last week. Now we're going to do some Marvel. Once again, Marvel also keeps throwing out number ones. The biggest Marvel book of last week, Thor number 1. You've probably all heard about this, the first appearance of the female Thor. Here she is. The only issue I had with this issue is she actually does not make an appearance till the very end, and you just see her at the very end. I'm not gonna show you. There she is. We don't know who she is. It's a secret, and that's going to be built up. Jason Aaron is the writer. What's the artist's name? Russell Dalterman is the artist, and pretty interesting stuff. But I mean, you've been hearing the stories. Female Thor, regular Thor, has lost the ability to use Mjolnir, and so it's up to the new female Thor to take his place. So this is basically just a setup issue, but as I said, it's a number 1. It was the biggest story in comics in the last couple weeks. It's out in your bookstore now, or comic book store now. They probably bought a lot of issues, so go ahead, pick this one up. And you won't be sorry. And then Jason Aaron's just getting started, so getting on the ground floor. Another one that I'm probably not going to continue with because, once again, I haven't read it, but I've been hearing bad things about it. But my first experience with the Guardians of the Galaxy was the future version of the team that didn't have Rocket and Groot and Star-Lord and all that. It had Yondu, who was in the movie but is different in this, and Vance Astro and stuff like that. And we've got Guardians 3000 #1, which of course is piggybacking on the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. The Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket and Groot and all that, they have their own comic out as well, so they decided to do a future one for the other fans. The name alone will try to help sell it. Dan Abnett's the writer, Gerardo Sandoval is the artist. I've heard just mediocre ratings for mediocre reviews of it. Very Joe Madeira style artwork, which is okay, but it's not my favorite. And once again, gonna need to be cutting books back, so I probably just want to buy the first issue, check it out. We'll see what happens. I probably won't stick with it. Another one I probably won't stick with, but I decided to check it out on the recommendation of Jessica, who was on Dylan Knows a couple weeks ago. She's one of the trio of lovely ladies who cover the Comicosity Hangout on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier #1, once again piggybacking on the movie Captain America, Winter Soldier. They brought out #1 with Bucky Barnes in it. This is in the style similar to Elektra. Elektra has a painted artwork quality to it, as does this. And so we'll have to check that out. Once again, we'll see. It was written by Ailes Coate and drawn by Marco Rudy. So I'll wait and see what's going on with this. I'll check it out. But Jessica read it. She was surprised about how good it is. So, she's usually pretty spot on with things. So Winter Soldier #1 also came out last week. So as I said, October's the month of new beginnings. That's 4 #1 so far that I discussed. But there are ongoing series like Black Widow #11. Once again, I think Nathan Edmondson is the writer. Phil Noto is the artist. In this one, we have Black Widow teaming up with X-23, who is basically a female Wolverine for the most part. And, Phil Noto has, once again, a very distinct art quality to him, kind of watercolory-esque a little bit. I've been a fan of this Black Widow. It's pretty good, and it's not your Scarlett Johansson Black Widow. It's a bit darker, but it's always good, once again, to have a strong female character leading a book, and have it almost be a year old is fantastic. So Black Widow #11. I've been talking about this for a while. The one crossover I'm really excited for is coming up this fall. I think it starts next month, actually, is Spider-Verse, where every single Spider-Man ever created is going to come together and take on a bad guy. They've been doing prequels called Edge of Spider-Verse, and there's been some pretty good one-shot stories. Well, here's another one, Edge of Spider-Verse #4. This one focuses on a horror-style Spider-Man who is, you expect when a spider bites someone, they don't get superpowers like Spider-Man. They actually might turn into a spider. And that is the basis of this Spider-Man. There he is in the corner. He's a humanoid spider. So it is a horror Spider-Man, but it is a character that will be appearing in Spider-Verse. It's very creepy, very interesting, and a interesting take on the Spider-Man origin. It's brought to you by Clay McLeod Chapman and Elia Bonetti. Clay McLeod Chapman is the writer, and Elia Bonetti is the artist. And so Edge of Spider-Verse has been doing excellent job setting up the Spider-Verse storyline, which is going to explode next month. Another character that will be appearing in Spider-Verse, but they're still doing setup right now, is Spider-Man 2099 #4, written by Peter David, who is one of my favorite comic writers. He wrote the original Spider-Man 2099 when it came out back in, I guess, the early 90s. And that was a great series, and now he's back writing the character. This character will play a big role in Spider-Verse, and Peter David is back writing it. He's got a pretty cool costume. That's the regular Spider-Man. Here's the one we need to look at. There he is, the blue and red like that. It's of course a futuristic Spider-Man, so check that out as well. Silver Surfer. Speaking of Dan Slott, Silver Surfer number 6. Dan Slott, Michael Allred, another worthy book to check out, especially if you're a fan of Doctor Who, because Dan Slott is a fan of Doctor Who, and he's making his Silver Surfer very Who-esque, where he has a companion and he's taken her to the future and foreign places and exploring things like Doctor Who does with his companions. And Mike Allred's art is fantastic combination with Dan Slott's story, and it's a very fun comic, and as I said, very Doctor Who-esque. So if you are a Doctor Who fan, I would recommend checking out Silver Surfer. You'll see many similarities to it. So Silver Surfer number 6. Once again, still could catch up on it. It's a pretty good series. Another series that's actually surprised me, Moon Knight. Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey did the first 6 issues, and they were fantastic. I finally got around to reading them. I read them in one sitting, and they were amazing. But they only were going to stay on for 6 issues. So Brian Wood has come on with Greg Smallwood, and he knows what's selling, so he's sticking with the formula that Warren Ellis set up, individual one-shots, storylines, different styles of storytelling. In this case, every this issue is told entirely through social media, be it cameras inside security buildings, people's cell phone cameras, traffic lights, exterior stuff, so on and so forth. So it's a good little idea for a story. And he's also set it up enough that he's keeping the one storyline, one story per issue going on, but he's also setting up a ongoing story arc that, if you've read every issue, you can understand it, but you don't have to follow every issue. So check out Moon Knight. It still looks pretty good to me. And I haven't read the new Brian Wood series yet, but I know they're doing the one-shots like one else. Death of Wolverine number 3. I complained about this before being, I think, a big money grab. It's $4.99. It's got a glossy cover, and half of the book is basically just a director's cut talking about the creative way of doing stuff, which is fine, but it adds, it adds that extra dollar to it, and it's gorgeous to look at anyway. I mean, Charles Soule's the writer, Steve McNiven and Jay Leaston are the artists, and it's amazing. And this issue's got one of my favorite characters, Kitty Pryde, in it. So we'll see. I mean, Death of Wolverine is pretty final. I mean, they say he is going to die, so we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not. So number 3, you got one more issue left, and he actually probably will die, and I don't know when that's coming out. Maybe next week. It didn't come out this week, so it might be out next week. Might be out end of the month. I don't know. That's it for Marvel. And now my independents. I got 2 independents. First up from Boom Studios, Fiction Squad number 1, written by Paul Jenkins with art by Ramon Box. Paul Jenkins has written another series about Little Red Riding Hood and stuff like that has to do with fables and stuff like that, which is really good. My daughter loves the stories. But here, Paul Jenkins is taking another look at the same world, where he's got a detective squad made up of various characters from fables and stories, and they're investigating crimes in these fable woods, and it's done in a hard-boiled detective style format. Like the first issue is Who Killed Humpty Dumpty. That's the first issue. So it's basically a cop drama that takes place in a fairy tale world. So check it out. Fiction Squad number 1. And finally, also from Boom Studios, The Woods, another great series, number 6. James Tynion IV, who writes the Batman Eternal book, and Michael Dialis did the artwork. It's basically a group of a whole high school gets transported to a planet, and some of the classmates are going in to explore the planet, try to find help. The others are just sort of staying in the school to get away from the scary stuff out there. So it's a combination of both, a teenage John Hughes type of film and an outer space drama. So The Woods is excellent. Check it out. All right, 1 week down, 1 week to go, and I did it in half an hour, so I'm very excited about that. So hopefully this one, the second week, will only take a half hour, maybe less than that would be great, but we'll see. I have less books, I think, that came up this week that I wanted, but there's some big ones to talk about. So we'll do this week's The Comic Call. Stuff I also forgot to tell you, stuff I also bought last week that I did not show here. I also bought the newest issue of Angry Birds, #5, that came out, and Tiny Titans, #5 also came out, but I got those for the kids, and they're up in their rooms. They've been devouring them, and they love them, so they also came out last week as well, so pick those up as well. So here's this week's haul. This is stuff that is out in stores right now in your new This Week section. And once again, starting with DC, starting with the weekly books. This is the brand new weekly Earth 2 World's End, #1. This is a weekly. It's going to be focused on the world of Earth 2. If you have not been following the Earth 2 comic, I don't think it matters. But basically, this one, Batman Eternal, and Future's End are all going to go till about April, and then something's going to happen where all three of the weekly series are going to end at the same time. And Dan Didio has been proclaiming little cryptic things here and there, talking about a new crisis and stuff like that. So all these are going to be leading up to that. So like all the other weekly books, this is done by multiple writers and artists. In this case, it's done by multiple artists. They'll probably go back to the one artist per book. But the story is by Daniel H. Wilson, and it's also co-written by Marguerite Bennett and Mike Johnson. This issue has artwork by Ardian Syfe, Sandra Hope, Danny Mickey, Jorge Jimenez, Eddie Barros, Eber Ferreira, Paulo Suaro, and Cam Smith, and breakdowns by Scott McDaniel. So you get a look at what Earth 2 is. Basically, Earth 2 is where DC sent the Justice Society characters when they rebooted the New 52. So you're going to get versions of, the old style versions of the Flash, Green Lantern, stuff like that, but not your Hal Jordans and Barry Allen, stuff like that. The premise is that before that happened, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Supergirl were the heroes, and then Darkseid invaded, destroyed, killed them, and sent Supergirl and Huntress, who Supergirl is been turned into Power Girl in both. So Supergirl and Huntress have been sent to the DC 52 proper, where they take on the personas of Huntress and Power Girl. And so they're doing their adventures there. And so you've got, here's the Justice Society, Green Lantern, Alan Scott. And there's the Flash, which is Jay. I can't remember Jay's last name. There's a Hawk Girl. Red Tornadoes made an appearance as well. And so on and so forth. So we'll see. I haven't been reading Earth 2. I was going to, but I haven't been following it. And again, I don't know if I can afford another weekly book, but I figured I may as well try. And it's going to be, connected to Future's End, which also comes out this week. This is issue 23. Same writing crew: Brian Azzarello, Jeff Lemire, Dan Jurgens, Keith Giffen, artwork by Aaron Lopresti, and inks by Art Thibault. Here's Batman being controlled by Brother Eye. The Joker's makes an appearance. Once again, I'm just telling you, it's the minor characters, Red Robin, so on and so forth. So once again, Future's End, and also Batman Eternal, number 27. Same team: Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, Ray Fawkes, Sean Higgins, and Tim Seeley. Artwork is by Javier Garron, who I'm really not a big fan of his artwork in the series. I think he's done one other issue, and I didn't like it. So, to each of their own, I guess. So we'll see. But once again, Batman Eternal is what's going on in Gotham. A lot of stuff's happening, and you need to cover it in the weekly series. So those are the 3 weekly books. So all 3 of these are weeklies. All 3 of these will be ending sometime in April, and all of them are probably a very important reading. So if you're a fan, pick some of that stuff up. We had a bunch of number 1s last week. This week again, Clarion number 1, Clarion the Witch Boy number 1. He's a supernatural character. Once again, it's one of these that I'm not sure I'm probably going to stick with, but I figured I'd pick it up. Clarion's an interesting character. He's supernatural. Written by Ann Nocenti with art by Trevor McCarthy. So another female creator has been hired by DC, which is great. And Clarion's always an interesting character who has a familiar and a cat named Teakle. So, a darker side of the supernatural. So that might be why I might stick with it, because I like the supernatural characters, but we'll see. So if you want to get on the ground floor of a series, Clarion number 1 right here. Also, another good, as I said, October is new creative teams, new story arcs. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that Gail Simone was leaving Batgirl, and a new creative team has taken over. Well, guess what? Issue 35 of the new creative team is on sale now. I got the monster variant that they're still doing. Also, this is a Kevin Nolan vampire Batgirl cover. The new creative team is Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher are the writers, and Babs Tarr, female, is the writer. It's a kind of a cartoony indie style artwork, and it's going to make Batgirl more up to date and modern. The character is going to be sort of typical to your mid-20s girl, where is very social media oriented, and going to use that to her advantage. Batgirl has a new costume, new location, new villains and stuff like that. So, and I haven't read it yet, but I was leafing through it. How she beats the bad guy in this is very clever, and actually is a very good idea considering Barbara Gordon's past as a computer genius. How she beats the bad guy in this one is a great. So I'd pick up the new Batgirl. I think it's going to. Gail Simone herself has said she's heard what's coming up in Batgirl, and she loves what they're doing with it. We got a female artist named Babs doing the character named Babs. And you got Cameron Stewart, who's the artist, and Brendan McCarthy, who's also co-writing Gotham Academy, doing this. So it's going to be another perfect book for women, but also maybe an all-ages style type of book for everybody, maybe a little less darker than Gail's story arcs were, but still a fun comic to pick up and a more modern take on Batgirl. So I'd highly recommend that to be well. Once again, get on the ground floor of the new series and pick it up then. Talked about Godhead. Part 1 and 2 came out last week. Well, part 3 comes out this week. This is Green Lantern Corps. This one is You Failed to Safeguard This Universe. The Time of the Lanterns Has Ended. Van Jensen, Bernard Chang are the creative team. And once again, it's the Green Lantern Corps taking on the new gods. Bernard Chang is, killing it. And, the Green Lantern Corps, you get all different types of Green Lanterns and styles like that. So once again, another continuously good story arc from Green Lantern. So check that out. Continuing with the monster variants, Justice League United, which is one of my newly favorite teams. Team books number 5 came out this week. This is the monster variant drawn by Kelly Jones. Pretty interesting. It's like the zombie type creature. Of course, you got Frankenstein on there as well. So Martian Manhunter as Frankenstein, which is interesting. So the regular artist is not on here. Timothy Green and Joe Silver have taken over the artwork just for this issue, I think. It's a fill-in kind of sort of ending one story arc and leading into the next big one where we get to learn more about the new Canadian superhero who's going to be joining Justice League United. And it's also going to be setting up the crossover they're going to be doing with the Legion of Superheroes, which is going to start in the next month's issue. So Justice League United is a great book. This is the 6th issue because they start with a 0 issue. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the first were great. The 5 years later, Justice League United crossed over with Justice League, regular Justice League 5 years later book last month, and now we're back on with the storyline. You've got Green Arrow, Adam Strange, Martian Manhunter, Star Spangled Girl, you know, as being members of the team. So Supergirl, Animal Man. So pick it up. It's a good team. And Jeff Lemire is Canadian, and he's going to write a Canadian superhero very well, and not just make fun of Canada, but use it as a good process. Continuing in the aftermath of Doomed, we've got Superman Wonder Woman number 12. Charles Soule writing it. Artwork by Jack Herbert, Walden Wong, Cliff Richards. I'm not a big fan of Superman and Wonder Woman being a couple, but there you go. You got to have them making out and kissing. A lot of innuendo about sex between the two of them. Also in this one, and Swamp Thing makes an appearance as well in this issue. So a crossover, a kind of a sort of a prequel to Doomed, and continuing, a new story arc probably will be starting next month. So that's Superman, Wonder Woman. I'm not a big fan of them being a couple, but you know what? Charles Soule's a good writer. May as well check it out. Keep it going with that. Finally, Batman number 35. After a year's worth of Batman Year Zero, we're back to present day. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. This is Endgame, which you could say is what they've been leading up to. It's got two stories in it. The main one has the Justice League taking on. It's basically what's going on in Gotham Endgame as what happens in Gotham Eternal leads. This is what's going to happen after Gotham Eternal. So you're getting a view of the future now, and eventually when this story arc is done, it's going to intersect with the end of Gotham Eternal. So you're going to get a little bit of a fast forward view of what's going on in Gotham now after Gotham Eternal. So you've got Greg Capullo taking on the Justice League, and the return of a villain that I'm not that excited about, but here the Justice League is taking on Batman. And then we have a backup storyline written by James Tynion with art by Kelly Jones, who does Creepy very well. It's a creepy story. Talking about the nameless one. James Tynion will be writing a Supernatural Batman series. I think is going to be coming out in December, which I'm actually looking forward to. So he knows a little something about the Supernatural. So we'll see about that. Well, Batman Eternal's been doing a lot more of a supernatural aspect to Gotham as well. So it's all connected. Finally, I've always talked about this book, how much I love this book, how much everybody should go get this book. The new issue of Astro City came out this week, Astro City number 16. And once again, can't go wrong with Astro City. Kurt Busiek is the writer. I think Brent Anderson is the artist on this one as well. Yep. And Alex Ross doing the covers. Apparently, I hadn't heard about it, and there is apparently a kind of a crossover with some of the other Vertigo books, kind of. And this is part of it, but I don't think I think it's its own story, and you don't need to read the other stuff. But Astro City is just a great series in general, and I just highly recommend you pick it up, drop everything, pick up the trades, read it, and get caught up on the new comics as well. I'm getting down near the end here, which is good. Marvel now. It's time for Marvel. I have more independence than Marvel this week, so we're going to go through Marvel real quick. Love Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel number 8. You got Rocket Raccoon crossover, and you got Carol with a bunch of kittens on the cover and Rocket. So you can't go wrong with this cover. It's fantastic. Kelly Sue DeConnick's the writer. Marcio Takara is the artist. It's kind of interesting artwork. Carol is a fantastic, character. And Rocket being involved as well is pretty good too. And you gotta love Carol. Did I show you any? I don't know if I showed you any of Astro City. Let me just go back and show you. Here's Brent Anderson's artwork for this is Astro City. Sorry about that, Brent. And Captain Marvel, Kelly Sue DeConnick. So Cats, Rocket Raccoon, and Carol, can't go wrong with that. My wife absolutely loves Captain Marvel. My daughter's been loving it as well, so she'll be excited to see that when she gets back from her wedding. Speaking of Rocket, Rocket's got his own series, number 4. Rocket Raccoon number 4 came out this week, written and drawn by Skye Young, who's the perfect artist for this. Very cartoony, but it's not a cartoony series. It's very serious. it's violent, what you expect from Rocket Raccoon. So if you liked Rocket in the in Guardians of the Galaxy, and who didn't, you might want to pick up this book as well. Just fun book. Good artwork. Scotty Young's a good writer and a good artist as well. This looks like it's going to be a phenomenal issue, and I cannot wait to read this one because this book has really been excellent. Nightcrawler #7 crosses over with Death of Wolverine. The cover alone says it. Nightcrawler lighting a candle for his newly deceased friend Wolverine, Logan. Done by the regular creative team of Chris Claremont and Todd Nuck, who's actually joined by Marguerite Bennett, who's another great female writer. And it's going to be, it looks like a one-shot, sort of a remembrance of Logan. And just I can just imagine with Chris Claremont and Marguerite writing it and Todd Nuck's fantastic artwork, it's going to be just a great walk down memory lane. Kurt has memories of Logan. So I'm dying to read this issue, and I think everyone should probably pick this issue up because Nightcrawler is consistently a great book. It's a fun book. Chris Claremont, who sort of lost it a little bit, has come back pretty strong here and has done a good job with it. And then this one shot, and then adding Marguerite Bennett to it, and Todd Nuck's art is just fantastic. It fits the book perfectly. It's such a great story idea, and Nightcrawler's remembrances of Logan, and I highly recommend everybody check that out. My last Marvel book is Amazing Spider-Man #7, which Miss Marvel guest stars in. Dan Slott again, writer. Christos Gage. I can't tell what Christos Gage is, if he is written this one, and Camuncoli is the artist. It doesn't say here, but it's continuing the Edge of Spider-Verse storyline, and I think there's a backup. No, there isn't a backup to Edge of, yeah, there is. There is a backup to it's Dan Slott plot, Christos Gage script, Giuseppe Camuncoli pencils, Cam Smith inks, and I guess there's going to be one more issue before Spider-Verse starts because it ends on a cliffhanger, and then I think it goes to there is a backup storyline, Dan Slott and Giuseppe Camuncoli, as he's tearing through the different Spider-Mans, and this looks like it's the British Spider-Man. Dan Slott, as I said, is the artist or the writer, and Giuseppe Camuncoli is the artist. So he's probably going to be coming in and taking on Edge of Spider-Verse as well. So we'll check that out. There is also a listing of all the stuff that's going to be part of Edge of Spider-Verse upcoming. Spider-Woman's going to be playing a big role in it. Scarlet Spider, Spider-Verse team up, Spider-Verse itself. And also a ad for Rick Remender and Stuart Emmerman's new Captain America with the Falcon. Scott Mary, I didn't know Stuart Emmerman was doing the artwork for that, so that might be something I might have to pick up. Also a Superior Iron Man where he's becoming more of a douchebag than usual. So some good ads for there. But Spider-Man continuing crossover with Miss Marvel, teams up with Miss Marvel, and is leading into Edge of Spider-Verse. So check that out as well. That is the last of the Marvel and DCs. Now I got my independents, and then I'm going to get out of your face. I've been waiting for this book for a while. It's from Image Comics. First issue coming out in October is absolutely perfect. It's written by Scott Snyder with artwork by Jock. It's Witches, #1. Fantastic. I'm so excited for this. I love Jock's artwork. He and Scott Snyder worked on Detective when Scott Snyder first jumped on the scene when I first knew him. But this one is a creator-owned story about witches. And so it's not for kids. It's violent. It's a horror-esque type of story. Show some blood here. And stuff like that. So scary. And then you even get where Scott Snyder gets the inspiration from. He does a little bit of a backup story about where he got the ideas from, and did a walking tour of his old stomping grounds with some pictures that have helped him create this. So just gorgeous cover, Witches #1. And it has been signed up to be a movie. So once again, you might want to get on the ground floor with that and check that out. Another book that surprised a lot of people, Sex Criminals, number 8. For mature readers, duh. For those who don't know, Sex Criminals is about a man and a woman who discover when they climax during sex or masturbation that they can stop time and move around and do things. And it's a comedy, but it's been starting to get a little darker recently. Matt Fraction, Chip Zdarsky are the creative team. Matt Fraction writes, Chip Zdarsky is the artist. Kind of a cartoony thing, but it is definitely for adults. And for a sex criminals story, there's not a lot of sex in it. And if there is, it's more mentioned. There's a lot more innuendo, stuff like that. And we're getting introduced to new characters, and flashbacks and flash forwards permeate throughout. And it's narrated fourth wall style. The people break the fourth wall and they talk to you directly. But it's a great series, and I highly recommend check it out. So Sex Criminals number 8 is out. Dark Horse is losing the Star Wars license to Marvel, obviously, since Marvel now owned by Disney. Disney also owns Star Wars as well. So they've got to start digging into their old licenses and get them back in the forefront. I guess maybe I forgot to do one a couple weeks ago for Aliens, but Aliens is one of them, and Predator is one of them, and Alien vs. Predator is also one of their licenses. So they are doing a new Alien vs. Predator comic called Fire and Stone, covered by Mike Mignola, which is fantastic. The creative team is Christopher Sabella and Ariel Olivetti, who actually fits in perfectly with what they're trying to do. Kind of outer space, getting back to the outer space horror type of thing. And it is an Alien versus Predator, so Aliens and Predator are going to appear in it. And so they're building those brands back up again and get those back in there. After the success of Afterlife with Archie, a darker take on the Archie stories, Robert Aguirre-Sakara, who is the writer of Afterlife with Archie, introduced a interesting Sabrina, who's the one who actually sets the zombie apocalypse in motion, then gets banished to an alternate dimension by her aunts for a whole year. Now, most people only know Sabrina from the long-lived TV series with Melissa Joan Hart, which was on ABC, which was a really good series, where her aunts were kind of goofy and stuff like that. These aunts are much darker, and the Sabrina that's in the Afterlife with Archie is in dire straits. The most recent issue of Afterlife with Archie featured Sabrina, what she's been going through while the apocalypse is going on Earth, and there's Cthulhu and stuff like that. But Robert Aguirre-Sakara said he has new ideas. He has new ideas for Sabrina, so he did The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina #1. So he's writing it, Roberto Aguirre-Sakara, with artwork by Robert Hack. And it's basically it takes place old style horror, October 31st, 1951. Old style horror. So Sabrina was born in 1951, so it's going to be more of a 1970s Sabrina. And we're going to get a look at the darker side of her aunts and the more chilling stuff that's going on in her life. So it's not your typical Archie. It's a bit darker. Robert Aguirre-Sakara is doing an excellent job with Afterlife with Archie, so I highly recommend you pick this up as well. You also, I think, get the first appearance ever of Sabrina in the actual Archie style as well. So if you never knew she was a part of the Archie universe, this book will help you change your mind about that, and also bring a different style of Sabrina and make her more occult and horror, which is a fantastic idea because they want to branch out the brand a little more, not just focus on the all ages Archie. They want to do some other stuff as well. So Archie's doing a really good job. Archie Comics is doing a really good job of that. So fantastic. I wasn't going to pick this up, but I figured, you know what? It's Halloween. It's IDW. I like IDW. I like Steve Niles, who is the writer. The October Faction. The cover alone says it. Retired monster hunter, thrill killer, warlock, and witch. Sometimes crazy is the glue that binds a family together. So it's a family that was a retired monster hunter, thrill killer, a warlock, and a witch. Done a kind of a Ben Templesmith type of style. So it's very atmospheric, very horror-esque. and I don't know much more about it. It was just one of those that I saw the cover, I saw who was writing it, and I leafed through it. I was like, yeah, it looks interesting. I figured, may as well pick it up and see how it goes. So the artist is Damian Worm, which is a good name for a horror artist. He's pretty good. As I said, he's got a very Ben Templesmith style to him. So if you like Ben Templesmith stuff, check it out. Speaking of Ben Templesmith, I mentioned it earlier. James Tynion is doing a Supernatural Batman comic coming out, I think, in December. Templesmith is doing the artwork for that. So if you're missing Ben Templesmith, he's actually doing a regular series. So check that out, and you'll see it on the haul because I'm definitely going to pick that up. I mentioned Doctor Who earlier. The Doctor Who license was owned by IDW for a while. I don't know if they still own it, but I know Titan, which is a English comic company, also apparently has the rights because they've been doing a Doctor Who comic. This is Doctor Who, the 10th Adventure, the new Adventure of the 10th Doctor. They also have New Adventure of the 11th Doctor. So there's a Matt Smith one as well. And there's an ad in here for the upcoming New Adventures of the Capaldi Who. So that should be interesting to check out. Nick Abadaziz, Elena Casagrande, and Ariana Florian are the creative team. And it's Doctor Who. It's your David Tennant Doctor Who. If you like the Tennant Doctor Who, you can pick this up. If you like the Matt Smith one, they have a Matt Smith one also. And as I said, if they have a Capaldi one, Capaldi is going to be coming up very soon also. I wish they would do the Ninth Doctor, because I like the Ninth Doctor also. I wish they'd do some further adventures with him, so that's great. But it's your typical Doctor Who. He gets a new companion and exploring and doing all the stuff you're used to. So Doctor Who, the New Adventures of the 10th Doctor. And as I said before, if you're a fan of Matt Smith, they have the 11th Doctor as well. Now my last one, and I'm going to actually hit the half-hour mark on this one too. Fantastic. Grendel versus the Shadow, #2 from Dark Horse and Dynamite. Matt Wagner is one of the best artists right there, and he's a pretty darn good writer as well. He created a character named Grendel a long time ago, and he's been writing the Shadow book for Dynamite. So he said, why not? Let me write a crossover between the two of them, and you know what? I'll draw it. I haven't drawn anything in a while, so let me draw it. I love Grendel, so I'll draw Grendel, and I like the Shadow, so I'll draw the Shadow. So pretty good issue. Got one more to go, but it's indeed the Grendel versus the Shadow, and it's done, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's in it's a 48. You get 48 pages, nice artwork by Matt Wagner, and you get the Shadow and Grendel. So there's that one. That is the comic haul for this week. As I said, I didn't cover all the books that came out this week or last week. There are other books out there that came out. There are just too many of them, and I'm not fans of a lot of them. So these are just the ones that I'm interested in. As I always recommend, go to your local comic store, check out the new store, see if there's some stuff in there that you might like. Always check out #1s, new story arcs, whatever. Hopefully you have a store where the people who work there are very helpful and can help you find what you're looking for. I'm lucky that I have a store like that up here. And so it's great. Comic books are good. They're hot now, and there's a lot of really different takes, not just superheroes. As you saw, there's sex criminals, there's old style superheroes, there's licenses out there, all kinds of really cool stuff. So go to your local comic store today, tomorrow, whenever, and just browse around, pick up some stuff using the recommendations I've given you. If you've seen some stuff you like here, go pick them up, pick it up, and enjoy. But just go. I'm going to bring this up over the next couple of weeks. A good chance to get into your comic store if you haven't gone lately, but a really good chance to get into it now would be on October 25th for Halloween Comic Fest, which is a free comic book day, but for the fall. Basically, most stores, not all stores are participating. It's not as big as Free Comic Book Day, but a lot of comic book stores are participating in this event where, once again, they're going to be giving out free comics, which are going to be specific to that time period. It's going to be a lot of Halloween style stories, some horror ones as well, but they're free comics. So you go, they'll have probably events and signings, stuff like that. And it coincides usually with, most comic stores are in strip malls or regular malls, and they usually do like a trick or treat thing the weekend before Halloween. So it's a way to just get people to your store, get the free comics. You can also maybe get some free candy from the stores as well. They'll have all kinds of events as well. And then while you're there, take a browse around, maybe pick up something that you want to buy. They'll probably have special offers, half off books, stuff like that. So just keep your eye out for that. It's October 25th, which is in about 2 weeks, I guess. 2 weeks from tonight, I think, actually. Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight. So October 25th, check out the CSLS, the Comic Shop Locator Service. Just type in your zip code. It'll give you all the comic stores in your area. And if you're interested, see if they're going to be participating in Halloween Comic Fest. It's going to be all ages. So take your kids, take your nieces, nephews. If you don't have kids, make them wear their costumes. Not make them, but have them wear their costumes. And there might be some trick-or-treating involved, and you get free comics. What more can you say? All right, I'm done. I hit my pinnacle of 1 hour. I'm going to shut down now, and have a great week. And I will see you all later. Bye-bye.